Okay, welcome everyone. This is the Premier Chess Adult Beginner Winter 2021. This is week 9, and we will be discussing the London system and and all the variations and little tricks and traps. This is incidentally my favorite opening that I do if I'm forced to play, standard chess as opposed to chess 960. All right, so let's look at this. So basically, the London. Let's see if this shows a basic London. Yeah, so basically, London is basically d4, knight f3, and bishop f4. That's the basic London opening position. The bishop is outside of the pawn chain, and usually with e3 and c3, and then you play h3 to allow the bishop to retreat back, so the knight doesn't trade itself for the bishop, because this bishop is a very powerful bishop along this beautiful diagonal. So you do not want to trade it, right? So yeah. All right. So let's look. This is the Jobava variation. Let's see this. Okay, so this is a little bit different. See, when I play, I usually don't block the c pawn. Usually, I play c3 and then I play knight b to d2 and knight g to f3. You know, of course, before I do knight d2, I bring the bishop out so it's not blocked. So I guess this is a little bit different. All right. Okay, so that's one type. Yeah, to me it just seems unnatural to block this c pawn. I have a an aversion to blocking the c pawn. I'm very careful about pawns. I'm very sensitive, with pawns and pawn structure. Pawns. You need your pawns to be fluid, and there's I don't know if you've seen the X-Men movies. I make reference to movies on that. There's a third movie. I think it's called what's it called? X-Men 3 or something. Last Stand. And in the end, Magneto says, because one of the big, strong mutants were going to go in the fight. And he says, no, 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 no. In chess, the pawns go first. So that was a interesting idea. That's kind of the way I look at pawns. So pawns you push first to open up lines for your heavier pieces, which would be your knights, bishops, and then even heavier would be the rook and the queen, right? So the pawns become the first line of attack, usually, in my mind. Okay, so let's go. This is the London system, the accelerated London. Let's look at this one. Okay, so you see standard setup, right? Knight f3, bishop f4, d4. Okay, c5, c3. Okay, so this is more of the setup that I like, right? This nice little pawn chain here. And actually, there's actually an opening called the Kali system, where the bishop is inside the pawn chain. It's still on c1, and it's definitely, I think, an inferior opening because the bishop is now blocked, right? So again, with your long range pieces, you want to make sure they have very long scope, right? You don't want to block your pieces. So very important to get the bishop out of the pawn chain, then close it up like this. Okay, so this is more of my type of game. So yeah, so this is interesting. So it looks like, okay, so queen b3, this is what I would play. And by the way, so he plays c4. So if he trades on b3, I think this would end up being advantageous for white. Now, what do you think is better to trade, capture back, the pawn or the knight? What do you all think?
Typically, I take the pawn on the A file to free up my rook, but given this, I think you'd come out a pawn ahead if you took with the knight.
How would you come out a pawn ahead?
Well, I take exactly the way you're taking.
And no, but I'm saying, how
No.
would you come out a pawn ahead if I took with the knight?
Well,
And so because here it's equal material, right?
right.
So
But
now
he's
yeah, right. You're threatening here, true, but maybe he can just push here, something like this. So what I'm saying is, yeah, I agree with you that taking with the pawn is much better because now you're opening up this rook. This rook is very active. This rook is very passive, and you have a nice game. And you could possibly possibly take on c5, bishop takes, and then you can push this pawn b4 attack the bishop, then b5 attack the knight, and then develop the bishop, castle, and then uh, and then double up your rooks and put extreme pressure on this a7 pawn, and that's a very nice game for white. So I think that's definitely my strategy in this kind of position. So yeah, that's why I say if black takes the queen, then it's definitely it's kind of a positional mistake. It's not an outright mistake; it's a positional mistake, I think. All right, so he didn't take, but instead he did c4, which I think actually benefits white, because this pawn looks like it's strong. I mean, it is kind of connected in this pawn chain, but I think in this position, white can demonstrate this to be a weakness. So let's see, queen c2. All right, so now bishop e7. Okay, so now here, I would say probably the best move would be here, queen a5. Now, why do you think? Why do you think I would prefer queen a5 over bishop e7? Can anybody see why? What do you think? So if he did bishop e7, what can I do that has a stronger effect in this position? What do you think?
What's the choice again?
So my question is, so black played bishop e7, right? And what I said was, I think that instead of bishop e7, a much stronger move would have been queen a5. And my question is why? Why is that a much stronger move than bishop e7? So if he plays bishop e7, I'm actually very happy if he plays bishop e7. Why? Why am I happy?
Because you can castle when you get black.
No, not for that reason. There's another reason. What do you think?
Oh, you mean white is happy?
Yeah. If I'm playing white,
happy.
he plays bishop e7. I think white gains a slight advantage in this position. How?
Well, for one thing, you really didn't improve the black bishop by moving it to e7. It seems like he's still just as hemmed in. He's still got the same diagonal in front of him. You didn't do much for your position.
Right. All he did was basically develop so that he can castle. True, that's true. But that's not necessarily the reason why I think queen a5 is better. There's a specific reason. So it has to do. You want me to give you a few minutes, or you want me to explain? What do you think? Hint. So it's what I mentioned. What I mentioned in the last move, which was why we played queen b3, and that provoked c4, right? And I said this looks like a very strong pawn chain, which it is. It's a pretty sturdy pawn chain. But in this situation, it actually benefits white. Now white can gain some advantage with what? What can white do here to gain some advantage now? Using this overextended pawn.
Well, if you move the pawn on b2,
to where?
Up one, up
Yeah.
b3.
Yeah, move the pawn on b to b3. Now look at this pawn on c4. It's protected once. Right? How many times is it being attacked?
Twice.
No.
3 times.
Three
Oh,
times.
3 times.
1,
3 times.
2, 3.
Right.
So there is extreme pressure on this c pawn. So black doesn't have time even to defend it one more time, because that would only make 2 defenders, and we would still win it. So there's extreme pressure on the c pawn. So he must immediately give up the pawn After which we take it back, and now we again have our open A file, and the rook automatically becomes active. And now we're actually threatening to continue our pawn advances, push forward now. And if he doesn't capture here, we can even push forward again, gain more space. So this is just an excellent position for white.
You still have the three-way attack on that piece.
Yeah, we still got very much control over the c4 square. And if we advance to c4, he captures. We capture with the b pawn. Now this is just beautiful. This is just beautiful situation. Now all we have to do is develop the bishop, castle, and then bring the other rook. Now we have two half open files for our rooks. Excellent position, and we have a very fluid pawn structure there. So yeah. So that's why I say c4 looks like a strong move, but it's not. Now, why is queen a5 better though? That's the question. So c4, queen b3. If you play queen a5, now this doesn't have the same sting. Why?
Because that rook isn't protected.
This rook, okay. Actually, that is true. So one thing that black could do is take here, and now we cannot take back because it's pinned to the rook. Okay, that's a good point.
But you can take it with the queen.
You can take it with the queen. You can take it with the knight. And so now that kind of leaves an isolated pawn here, which is a little bit annoying. But even another way that black could do, so that is a good option for black. Another option is b5. Now you can protect this very powerfully with two pawns. So now it doesn't matter if we're attacking it 3 times because he's defending it with 2 pawns. So he's got enough protection. So if we try to take again, he takes back. Now black's doing okay. You see that big difference, right? Our rook on a1 is still blocked, and yeah, the game will continue. But so it's a big difference, right? Doing it this way and before, which had our rook activated on the a file, right? So very slight, very interesting, different consequence with bishop e7. Yeah. So yeah, c4. Yeah, so I try to do that with a lot of my opponents when I play queen b3. I want to provoke this c4 move because most often it turns out to be advantageous for white. Okay. All right. So c4, queen c2, bishop e7. Okay. So now, okay. This is another way to undermine the pawn chain, right? So you trying to create like a little pawn weakness here. So e4, take. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, so you can take with the knight. That's nice. Now you're hitting the queen, and now you got doubled pawns here. So that's pretty nice, right? So because if you take here with the knight, that doesn't really work. Why? Why is that not so good? What do you think?
Well, it's black to move.
Yep, black to move. What do you think?
Yeah, so queen takes b2.
Yeah, so the b2 pawn falls. Yeah, so we got an attack on the a1 rook and c3. So another pawn's about to fall. So yeah, so you can't let that happen. So knight c4 is actually a knight. You can kind of call this a Zwischenzug, right? An in between move. It's pretty nice. Instead of automatic recapture on e4, you say, okay, I'll capture on c4 because this is a recapture with a tempo, right? Attacking the queen at the same time. So black doesn't have time to capture the knight on f3, right? Queen b3, queen d8, knight f8 to e5. Okay, yeah. And so all these arrows are demonstrating how much scope the knights have, right? So it's pretty nice position for black, right? Yeah, castle. Okay, yeah. And maybe you can create additional weakness. How would, okay, so let me ask you guys, how could white create additional weaknesses in this position for black? This white move.
you could go ahead and capture. You could do knight takes c6.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. Capture the knight, and now look at the position, right? So now black has, how many pawn islands does black have?
Is that 4?
3. So these will be all together. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, right? And these two are especially very weak, right? Two isolated pawns, and white has 1 island, 2 islands, right? So white is much stronger, much more robust pawn structure. And yeah, this pawn is easy to be captured. This pawn is easy to be captured. This pawn's a weakness until he plays f5. Then it can become a little bit strong. But yeah. So again, always look for chances to create additional weaknesses in your opponent's position, right? That just makes your opponent's life more difficult because that's more things they have to protect. All right. So all right. So this is the accelerated London system. By the way, I don't really know the names of all these. I've been playing the London system for like years, but like I told you all, I don't really study openings because I don't really think that that's that's the best way to improve, or that should be the focus. But I am kind of familiar just because I played it so often. Like I kind of know these positions, but I don't know the names of it. So this is called the accelerated London. I didn't even know that. So yeah, just let you know. Okay, so this is London system against the King's Indian defense. All right, so let's see this one. Okay, so London. Again, I don't like this move, right? Doesn't feel right to me, right? I would continue probably here, something like this. Of course, why am I playing h3? What's the
Prevent
purpose?
that knight from advancing.
Or yeah, prevent this knight from trading my bishop, right? So I can hide my bishop on h2, right? Very important move, h3. So yeah, let's say castles
After you
here.
castle, won't that give your king an escape route?
Oh, that too, yeah, that too. So to eliminate back rank mate after you castle, you have an escape square. Oh, does anybody know what that's called? There's a term for that when you create this little escape square for your king. Anybody know what that's called?
Mm-mm.
It's called making luft. Making luft. So you create like a little air pocket, little air hatch for your king to escape, to avoid back rank mate, right? So yeah, so if I were to play this game against the King's Indian, this is the King's Indian setup, right? Fianchetto shadow bishop, knight on f6 with d6, and then I would play knight here, and maybe bishop here, then castle. So this would be my ideal setup. But okay, so in this position, they're doing different. We're doing it this way. So let's see. Okay. All right. So they're pushing completely. Okay. Oh, you're going for an immediate attack there. See, I don't even think like that. Like I don't even think of going for immediate attack. Like I'm so focused on, the opening principles and getting a stable position and fortifying my position, make sure all my pieces are active and doing productive things. So I would never think to do an immediate attack like this. It's just not my style. All right. Bishop h6, e5. Okay. All right. So opposite sides castling. So what usually happens in opposite sides castling?
Pawn storms.
Right. So yeah, usually white would pawn storm the king side and black would do the same on the queen side, right? So let's see what happens here. All right. Okay. Yeah, so they're just illustrating the pawn storm idea. Okay, yeah. All right. So let's go through. All right, let's see what other possibilities. So instead of queen d2, what about let's see, what if you did instead of d6 you did d5? So then you're saying you can target c7. Again, I don't like that. Why? Because I don't like premature attacks, right? Look, we have all these undeveloped pieces. It just seems it seems how do you say, inexperienced to go after something as trivial as a pawn like this with you only have 2 pieces developed. So yeah, it's just not something that I think most experienced players would do. All right, so yeah, because he can just defend like that, yeah. And then this knight can be kicked away pretty easily, and yeah, it's not really impressive to me. Okay, all right. So that's against the King's Indian. So let's look at the Mason attack. Let's see what this is. D4, D5. Okay, we have the London setup again, right? This is my ideal setup right here. Very good. Okay. So here's an interesting thing, right? So sometimes London players do this bishop D3, and it's a good situation because, the bishop is on a nice diagonal here. But the thing I don't like about it is now, if black wants to push the pawn to C4, he does it with a gain of tempo. What does that mean, a gain of tempo?
He's attacking.
Right, he's attacking. Right, so that means that I have to use a move now to move this bishop. I have to waste a move because so first he gained space and he attacked at the same time, but the fact that I have to move the bishop again, now it seems like I lost a move, and now maybe he can continue very nicely with the pawn chain and the pawn storm. So I don't want to give my opponent that extra move, right? So that's why I would prefer to go bishop e2. It looks a little bit more passive, but here I don't want to give him that extra tempo of attack if he chooses to push the pawn like that, right?
I have a question in this position, not only in this position, but also in the Stonewall. I understand why the C5 pawn moves to C4 to complete the chain, although it is pretty extended. But when it takes at D4,
okay,
it is quite disruptive to the way the defense is set up for white, isn't it?
In this situation, you mean? In this position?
Yeah.
Actually, no. That's actually nice. I actually enjoy when they capture it. Now, I always capture with the e pawn because number one, because I hate I really dislike symmetrical positions. I think all you who know me in my other class, I've mentioned that many times, right? I do not like symmetrical positions, so this seems very drawish to me, and I don't like that. So I try to create inequality on the chessboard, right? Okay, so only in the chessboard I like inequality, right? So e takes d4, very important, right? Now we have opposing pawn chains, right? Different pawn chains, and so white has an open a half open e file to work with, black has a half open c file to work with, right? So I think that creates much more exciting dynamic positions than something like this. No, this does not appeal to me at all.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying, is it it's stronger to extend that black pawn chain at C4 than it is to take that lead pawn at D5?
Are you saying, is it stronger?
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at this. In this position, I just played bishop e2, right? So let's say he chooses to go c4. Now, this is a very different position. Why? Now I have an extra move. I don't have to spend an extra move moving this bishop. So now this is actually very good for white. So what do you think would be a good move here for white?
We had that earlier. It was B3.
Good, same exact thing, B3. So now he can defend it with here, but it doesn't have this. It doesn't have the same sting as the last position. Why? Now what can white do here? What's a good move? White's got a pretty good move here.
It could seal off that black bishop if it advances to B4.
Yeah, that's true. You could seal it off, although I do not like that. This doesn't look good to me because now maybe black can go A5, and now this I don't want to completely close off the situation. I think there's a better move than B4. So we don't want to completely close the position up. So what's a better move than B4? What do you think?
What about
A4?
A4?
Yeah, definitely. So look. Remember, every time you see a pawn chain, where's the weakest point in the pawn chain?
The front.
The base. The base. This is the base of this pawn chain anyway, right? And
right.
F7 will be the base of this one. So in this one, B5 is the weakness. Attack the base. Very important. Attack the base. Now, is A6 a possibility for black? Why?
because if you take it, you'll lose your rook.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The pawn is pinned, right? So he takes here. He cannot recapture. He will lose his rook, right? So a6 doesn't work. So if he takes, okay, if he takes here on a4, what's the best move here?
Well, I want to say take with the rook, but it looks too obvious.
There's a stronger move than that. What do you think?
Take with a pawn?
So you're saying B takes a4?
No, I would take the pawn, take it c4.
C4, yeah. B takes C4, yeah, definitely. So now we have a chance here because now we diverted this base away from protecting the pawn twice. So now the pawn's only protected once. So now let's create. Remember, always create additional weaknesses when you can, and we have a chance here. So this is a weakness. These are doubled isolated pawns. So we don't even have to worry about taking this just yet because it's very weak anyway. So we can just do something like this: take C4. And if he takes back, now we can take back. And now look at this. We have 1, 2, 3 attackers on c4. There's no defenders. This pawn will definitely fall. And yeah, so it's a very comfortable position for.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say then you take a4 with the queen, pin the rook.
Let's see. Oh, you could take with the queen too. Yeah, pin the knight. That's a possibility. Sure.
And you can also then just take the pawn.
Yeah, you can do that too. Maybe he'll go something like this, and you want to get your queen off the diagonal, maybe like that. So that's a possibility also. I mean, I just like taking with the rook because it kind of prepares the rook to be doubled up, maybe with the queen or with the other rook. You know, so that's nice. Yeah, I don't really like bringing the queen out too early. Again, you see all both sides all have all 4 minor pieces and 2 rooks, so there's a lot of power on the board. So I wouldn't really want to bring my queen out that early yet. All right. So yeah. So this is a great example of creating additional weaknesses when you have the chance. Again, so here B takes a4. I think most beginners would say, okay, let me take it back with the rook or with the pawn. But you know, if you pause for a moment, you can create additional weaknesses by taking on c4, right? And you really improve the situation. So here's another variation. What if you take on c4 and then he says, okay, I'm gonna push this. Now the bishop is protecting the pawn. Right now it's protected. What are you gonna do? Ha. So what do you think? What do you think is a good move there?
C5, D5.
C5, you mean?
Yes. Well, no, I was going to take it.
Oh, take here. Oh, take here. Okay, so take here. Maybe he can take with the knight, and now he's threatening to trade off this bishop, and he's threatening to take this unprotected pawn, which again would fork the queen and the bishop. So that's kind of annoying.
What about moving? And you move your bishop E.
Here?
No, the other bishop.
Oh, the other bishop
to B5.
Bishop to B5. Okay. All right, it's a possibility. Yeah, maybe he would just have to do this. But again, it's very annoying because remember this in the London system, the F4 bishop is very powerful, right? Controlling this entire diagonal. It's like a big, like a blade through Black's position. So you do not want to trade this bishop away. So you would definitely want to retreat that, and then he takes on c4 again, forking queen and bishop, which is pretty annoying. And then here, even Black has some tactics here. Knight takes d5, exposing, discovering an attack on the knight and the queen, and now even threatening a fork here. So yeah, so it gets a little bit crazy, right? So to avoid all this craziness, what's a better move to avoid all that craziness? What do you guys think?
C5?
Yeah, c5, definitely. Block the bishop, right? Now the bishop is dead, right? And now this pawn is free. So yeah, beautiful. And then once you go knight gf3, then you got this the e5 square comfortably under your control. play h3 also to save this bishop. You can take this pawn whenever you want. It's going to be easy pickings. So yeah. So yeah. All right. So a lot of variations there. So yeah, that's kind of how you want to play when you're dealing with pawn chains like this. You want to break them up as soon as you can. As soon as possible, and remove one of the bases, and then just break up the other side like that. Very nice. Okay. Is there any questions? Am I going too fast, or was this good?
Good.
All right, cool. All right. So here's a London system, a trap for white. So let's see what this is. All right, D45. Okay, London. Aha, interesting. All right. I've seen this. I've seen this in some chess videos. Like, see, this is another reason why I don't really like openings. Right? There's all these obscure little traps where you can, and you would only know these traps if you watch chess videos, or you read chess books, and you like let's say you read a chess book just on one opening, like just on the London system. You'd probably know all these obscure little traps. But again, I don't think this is chess. To beat your opponent in I don't like 10 moves because you knew some obscure trap. I don't know. To me, it's not something to be proud of. It's just like you just saw a chess video and you picked up something. You're like, let me try this. I don't know. To me, it's unimpressive. But anyway, so here's this trap. So E5, right? So it looks like actually the key move to the trap is H5, which of course is an inferior move. Like, why would you do that? But the whole idea of the trap requires H5. Okay, so then E5 follows. Then you're like, okay, what's going on? He's giving me a free pawn. It doesn't matter if you take with the pawn or you take with the bishop. Because all right, so let me show you the. Actually, let me ask you guys. If he takes with the bishop, where's the trap? How does Black win or gain a winning position in this situation? What do you think?
Move your bishop C8. The bishop to G.
So C8 to G4.
Yeah.
This one. Okay.
No,
No.
that's not gonna work.
No. I
No.
mean, he can block here. He can,
Right.
block with the knight. Yeah. There's a specific reason for H5, and then this pawn sacrifice here. So what's the reason? Anybody can see it?
Yeah. What if you move the queen to G5?
Queen G5. Okay. No, you're not even attacking that. No, it doesn't do much. Knight F3 attacks
Oh.
the queen. No, not much. Anything
Okay.
else?
Well, I guess you could move your pawn. The black would move F6.
Yeah, F6. So we can see here that this bishop is the only white piece that's developed, right? So you can be pretty certain that the trap has to do with the bishop, right? So the pawns have cut off the escape squares from the bishop, right? So, and you'll see the importance of H5, because he goes F6, right? Now there's two safe squares, right? But it doesn't matter what he does. If he goes bishop F4, you continue attacking G5, and then H4, and the bishop is trapped, right? So the same thing, if you go immediately back to G3, the same thing happens, and trapped, right? So this is the whole little obscure little trap. It's kind of like it reminds me of kids when kids learn chess and they learn like the scholar's mate. Everybody knows the scholar's mate, right?
No.
Bishop and queen. No, is anybody who doesn't know the scholar's mate?
Me.
Okay, let's go over the scholar's mate real quick. All right, you know what? That's a good little, just to go over the scholar's mate, just so you can have perspective.
Maybe I do know, but I don't know what the name of it is.
All right, it's okay. Hold on. Let me just do this here. Just so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so Scholar's Mate. Okay. Anybody who does know the Scholar's Mate. So what are the moves for Scholar's Mate?
E4.
E4, okay. E5, and then white goes what?
either bishop or queen.
Okay.
You're attacking
Bishop where?
F7.
Good. Bishop C4. So this is, it's a good move anyway, right? Controlling the center and attacking the sensitive F7 pawn. Okay. So now let's say black does pretty bad move, B6, kind of unimportant move. All right, now
And
what
now-
does white do?
Queen to F3.
Okay, so you can go queen F3. Even more powerful would be what? There's a stronger
Queen,
move.
queen to H5.
Yeah, why is queen H5 a little bit stronger? Why?
Because you can also come across to.
Why is queen H5 a little stronger than queen F3? What do you think?
You're forking the 2 pawns. You could
Good.
capture.
Yeah. So you're threatening mate on F7 with the bishop, and you're threatening the unprotected E5 pawn, right? So this would be the scholar's mate. Let's say he goes, black doesn't see it. He goes bishop B7. That's scholar's mate. So you win in 4 moves. That's a 4-move checkmate, right? Real quick. So if black does, if he does see the scholar's mate, let's say he goes G6, that does prevent scholar's mate, but that's kind of that's not such a good way to defend. Why?
You lose the rook by force here, typically.
With what? What can white do here?
Queen takes E5.
Good.
Check.
Queen takes E5. Now, with G6, the queen is now attacking the king and the rook. So this is a fork, right? The rook will be lost. So that's not a good way to defend it. What's a better way for black to defend against scholar's mate? What do you think?
You can move queen to E7.
Good. Queen to E7. Yeah, simultaneously defending F7 and defending E5. Now we will demonstrate. Now, what opening principle did white violate when bringing the queen? Do not bring the queen out early, right? That's one of the things that I tell all of my students and all beginners should know is, apart from controlling the center, develop your pieces and castle. Some other opening principles is do not bring your queen out early. Why? Because especially with a bunch of pieces on the board, it's likely to be harassed and maybe trapped and captured. Another opening principle is do not move the same piece twice. So now white will violate 2 of these opening principles. He already violated 1, right? He's getting overly aggressive. See, this is the other thing I don't like about E4 is a lot of beginners that like to think that they enjoy attacking and being aggressive, which I thought I did as a young chess player. Although over the years I've realized that no, I really enjoy more positional games. I don't want things to be so so aggressive and attacking that. And I think E4 kind of encourages people to be more aggressive on the chessboard. Maybe that just reflects my personality in life. I don't know. But so yeah, so now you're gonna demonstrate. You're gonna see why Queen H5 was such a bad move. So now let's say he goes Knight C3. Now what's a good move for black here? To demonstrate why Queen H5 is like a positional mistake.
Knight F6.
Right, Knight F6. Very simple, good developing move, right? Develop towards the center, attacking E4 and controlling D5. But now, because the queen is all the way out here in the stratosphere on H5, now it's additionally attacking the queen. So now white has to spend an extra move, bringing the queen back. And, with his tail between his legs, because he's he's got to admit that, it wasn't such a good move after all. So that's why, that's one reason why I don't like E4 openings, but that's another reason why when I teach beginners, the scholar's mate, like, for example, I give the example of my daughter, she's 8 years old. And when she plays other kids that she knows are beginners, she loves to do the scholar's mate, and she gets so excited. They fell for it again. It's just funny. But if it doesn't work out, this queen is just misplaced. And look, if I bring it back on F3, now you're blocking the knight from a beautiful square, right? So you know, and what are you going to do? You can bring it here. E2 is, I mean, it's fine there, but, or you can bring it all the way back, and then if you bring it all the way back, then really you're really like admitting that Queen H5 was a horrible move, right? So yeah, it's just a bad move all around. Yeah. So that's Scholar's Mate. Now, why did I get on that topic again? What was
Because
the
I
reason?
said I didn't know it. I did know it, but I just didn't know the name of it.
Okay, so you're familiar with it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah. So that's Scholar's Mate. Oh, I think the reason I said was because this is like a little a little trap that, yeah, that people, when they find these little, you know, quick ways to checkmate, or quick way to you know, quick little obscure trick, they try to do it. But for example, in this situation, like H5, I mean, that doesn't do anything, right? What's the goal in the opening? Control the center, right? Develop your pieces and castle. This doesn't accomplish anything, nothing. The only reason to do H5 is to hope and pray to whatever god you worship that that white will play E3 and then fall into your trap. But if white doesn't, maybe all white has to do is go H3 and create an escape square for the bishop. Then it doesn't work at all. Or even maybe you just play something like this. Yeah, and then H3. So yeah, I really caution everybody about doing these ridiculous traps. Actually, I'll tell you a story. I taught a group adult class in person just last week, and I was playing this one guy, and he did a trap on me where he won my queen in the, like, pretty much in the opening. And again, it was one of those traps, that little tricks that he learned from some chess YouTube video, right? And he was like so happy that he won my queen, but of course I consolidated and I focused and I ended up beating him anyway. And he was so mad because he was like, I almost had you. But it just goes to show you that people spend an inordinate amount of time on learning these little obscure tricks and traps, when I think their time could be much better spent on you know, more deep and profound things in chess, like, you know, learning tactics and position, understanding pawn structure and end game strategy and that kind of thing. So I think that's a better use of your time than trying to memorize these little things that you know, rarely you rarely will get a chance to use them. So yeah, that's my anti trick and trap rant. Any questions, by the way, on that? What I just said? Is that clear? Okay, cool. Everybody get the feel of how much I hate these tricks and traps. Should I make it clear, or what? Okay, cool. Okay, so along that line, here's another trap for black. This is a trap for white. Let's look at a trap for black. All right. I mean, they're fun to look at. I'll give you that. They're fun to look at. All right. So London system on the board. Okay, nice setup. I like this setup. Right, beautiful pawn chain, and bishop is outside of the pawn chain. Very nice. Okay, so here I'm cognizant that the knight might come here, so I would want to play H3, but okay. Knight BD2. Okay, and in this situation also, bishop D6 is a very good move, because again, in the London system, the F4 bishop is the strong piece, right? So if black can trade off the F4 bishop, that kind of equalizes the position, right? Neutralizes the white's advantage in the London, right? So, okay. Okay. All right. All right. So I wouldn't do that. I would not take here. I don't like it. Well, why do you think I don't like that move? What do you think? Anybody have an idea?
Which move is it you don't like?
I don't like this move. I don't like because my goal is to keep a pawn in the center at all times. That's my goal. You want to maintain your stake in the center, and when you capture away from the center, you are ceding the center to your opponent. You're giving him the center on a silver platter, right? You don't want to do that. So now these pawns can become very active, right, and control a lot. So So yeah. All right. So let's see what happens here. Okay. So maybe the reason he did that was for this. He wants to try to do that. All right. Anybody know what that's called, by the way, when you sacrifice the bishop on h7? What's that called? Anybody know? It's called the Greek gift. The Greek gift. And you don't have to be Greek to use it either.
Well, there's beware of Greeks bearing gifts.
Beware the Greek gift. I think that's a reference to like the Trojan horse story. Like the Greeks gave a gift of the Trojan horse, but it ended up being you know, not a nice gift. to put it mildly. So yeah, so the Greek gift, he's like, oh, let me give away my bishop. But really he wants to destroy the pawn shelter. Queen comes in for a check, king g8. Knight e4. Ooh, that's the point. That's the point of this little trick. God, these tricks are so annoying. I really don't like these tricks. But anyway, knight e4. Okay, everybody see why this works? This is a very interesting trick. What's the purpose of that?
Black queen's in jeopardy.
Black queen's in jeopardy, right? Can the pawn take the knight?
No,
Why?
because the white queen will come across and
Good. The queen will be lost, right? So the pawn is pinned to the queen. So now, let's say he goes back to e7. Now, what's the best move?
G5
G5 with what? What piece?
with the knight.
Good. Knight G5, and now the mate is inevitable, right? The mate is inevitable. He must give up his queen for the knight, right? Even if he goes F3, doesn't matter. The knight controls F7, right? And it doesn't matter if he moves his rook because there will be a back rank mate right there, right? So, all right. So let's see. What if he goes? What if he goes queen here? We can go knight G5 again. So now it won't be checkmate. So it won't be checkmate. So what do you think is the best move for white here?
Queen takes pawn at F7.
Good. Queen, yeah. So first you get rid of the pawn shelter, right? Queen takes F7, king H8. Now what do you do?
Queen checks at H.
Good. Queen H5. Yeah. So this is a very common little technique that you do when you do this Greek gift on H7. So you first remove the F7 pawn. King comes back. Then you go Queen H7 check. Continue checking. Queen H8 check. Right. King has one move, and now you can win this pawn as well. So you just won all three of these pawns, which is a very nice compensation for one piece. Right. Pretty nice compensation. So in this position, actually, the king will escape. So maybe in this position, what you could do instead is after queen F7 check, you can perhaps win this bishop outright, right? So now maybe you've gained your bishop back, and you also gain two pawns in the process, right? So pretty nice position here. And even if he, let's say, takes here, attacking your bishop, you can castle. Rooks are connected, and yeah, should be a pretty nice game here. Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to put him in check with the knight?
Let's see. So
in
check here now. This one?
I guess. Yeah. I was thinking
I mean, you could. It doesn't really do much though. It doesn't really do much. Your rook is in danger, so you're gonna have to probably castle. Yeah. The queen, the bishop here. Actually, this is winning for black now. So what's black's best move here? Black's got a good move here.
Move the rook forward. Move E7.
Right, rook E7. Yeah, so rook E7, forking queen and knight, and black will be up a piece now. So yeah, that's no good. So yeah.
So not only did I make a bad suggestion, I beat myself.
I mean, yeah, it's tempting to want to continue checking the king, but you want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a worse position, right? So that's important. All right. So good. So that's the Greek gift. So this is a little trap. So like think about this. Okay, this is a little trick. A little trick. Now, do you guys honestly think that you will ever encounter a situation where you'll know, oh, this is the perfect time I can do this trick? Like you would have to know this trick so well that that you would be trying to do it just to get into this specific situation, you know? And it's just that's not what chess is to me. You know, it's not what it's about. It's not about tricks and traps. Chess is beauty, right? Chess is art. Chess is poetry. It's not about these little. It's like you know what I think of when I think of a trick like this. I think of hustlers on the street doing little tricks. That's what I think of when I think of tricks. No, you want to do this? You be a hustler. You know, you why don't you do cards and do the cups with the balls under the card. You know, you want to do that? Why are you playing chess? Why are you playing chess if you want to do tricks? Go back to hustling. So yeah. So yeah, we got a couple minutes left. So what did you all think of that? Any questions, comments, observations? What do you think?
It was good.
Yeah.
You gain a newfound appreciation for tricks and traps. Or hustlers. I've actually played in Washington Square Park, you know, chess hustlers when I was a teenager. That was when I was really getting into chess and reading a lot of chess books. My father, I was probably like 15 years old, 14, 15. My father would take me to Washington Square Park. Any of you been to Washington Square Park, by the way?
I whenever I go to New York, I always play there.
Oh, you play there? Cool.
Yeah.
And like how much money do you usually like per game? Is it like $2, $3, $5?
I've never found a table, maybe because I'm older, that's less than $5. And I always play the $5 table.
$5. Okay.
But it's amazing because you see these kids get driven up in limos and they play typically, I didn't grow up speaking English, so I'm sensitive to this. Typically speaking Russian. And these kids just get hammered by these guys who are in their 40s, and their parents stand and watch it, and the kids usually start crying, as in my experience.
Wow.
I usually stay in a hotel that's not far from the park because I'm at NYU.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah, I've been there a few times with my father, and I remember one time we went there, and I beat the guy a couple times. It was like, I don't know, $3 or $4 a game or something, and I beat him. He beat me a few. I beat him more, and then my father's like, all right, pay up, and the guy said, you didn't pay the rent of the board.
right.
So he didn't end up paying. See, and then what are you gonna do? You know, it's like you're on their turf. You know, what are you gonna do? Pick a fight with him? You can't do anything. So we just left. But there were other times where I came out on top and they did pay. But then I feel bad because it's like, you know, maybe it's like their lunch money. Maybe that's like they go hungry because they didn't make some money. So I don't know. But it's still fun. I enjoyed it. Haven't been there in
They
a
also
while.
play at Madison Park, I think it's called.
Madison Park? Okay.
Where's the park where Italy is?
Which one?
Italy and Shake Shack and that
Oh,
park
I'm
there.
not familiar. What part of Manhattan is that?
It's just a little. It's above Houston.
Okay. Yeah, I played in Bryant Park. Anybody been to Bryant Park? They got some chess tables there, and I think that was not for money, but you know, it was nice to play there, and of course they look at me, they kind of underestimate me, but it was a lot of fun.
but you always play for time, right?
Yeah, whenever you play in the park, yeah, you always play speed chess. Yeah, with the clock, and usually it's like 3-minute games, you know, something like that. And you know, when I was a teenager, I was big into bullet. I loved bullet chess, which is like 1-minute games. And yeah, I know. I mean, they kind of say it's like, you know, a lot of chess teachers discourage that. You know, they say it destroys your chess, and it's like junk food chess. You know, because you're not really thinking deeply when you're playing a 1-minute game. You know, so but it's a lot of fun. And I mean, I don't do much of it lately just because I'm like teaching so much. But But lately, what I found to be valuable is correspondence chess. Does anybody play correspondence chess? Correspondence games? You know what that is? Anybody know what that is?
In the old days, you used to mail postcards back and forth, but now you can play with email.
Right, right. So correspondence chess, yeah, yeah. You used to be with the mail, with the U.S. mail. Yeah, you can do it through email too. But like on Lee Chess, you can do like let's say I'll show you, for example, like games I have going on. So for example, like right now I just have one game, right? So this is a game that I have going on now, and you see it's 3 days. So it's 3 days to make one move. Right.
Wow.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So
Awesome.
so the reason that I do this, I have a lot of games. Like I have a chess.com account, and so I have like I probably have like 60 games going on simultaneously, like right now. But some of them are like a one move every 3 days, one move every 5 days, every 7 days. Some of them are like every 10 days, every 14 days. So it's all different types. But the idea of it, what I love about it is that it gives you a chance to really think about just one move, like for a long time, for hours or just a whole day. Just think about a move, and I think that's very valuable.
I have a
So
question.
yeah.
If you play, like, okay, you've got 3 days, and in 2 hours you know what you want to play, can you go ahead and play it, or it just doesn't register it until 3 days has passed?
No, you can play as fast as you want. You can play you can play it. But the thing is, if your opponent agreed to a correspondence game, the reason they agreed to it is because they want to play slow. So they're not going to be there at their computer moving while you're doing it. The point is, you do one move, and then you like turn off your, computer, or you go to work or whatever, and then you come back to it later, and you look at the position. Oh, my opponent moved. So it's kind of
Okay.
like that. The idea is to move very slowly. And I think it encourages deep thought and planning out your moves and your ideas, your strategies.
Are there versions of that where rather than up to 3 days, it is like minimum 3 days? Like it's not going to be registered a move until 3 days has passed.
No, usually it's like whenever you move, then it's your opponent's move. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, usually it's like that. So I'll show you, for example, this is my chess.com. So you see what it says, 86. I have 86. I have 86 slow games. These are all slow games I got. Look, see, it's all my move here.
Uh,
So these are all my slow games, right? So these are 14 days per move, and
wow.
this is just page one. Let's look at page two. So
God.
these are all the games that's not my move, right? Because it's not highlighted, but yeah. So I'm in a bunch of tournaments, and some of them are chess 960. You see, because I love chess 960.
What is chess 960?
Oh, okay, good question. Let's see. So chess 960. I'll real. Oh, it's 8:00. But all right, real quick. I'll just go through this real quick. Let's see here. I'll show you by showing you a sample of one of my games, one of my chess 960 games. So I'd like to show my best win. So this is my best win, but this is a sample. So chess 960 is that exact same rules as regular chess. The only difference is the first rank and the last rank are randomly placed, right? The pieces are random setup.
What?
Yeah, the random setup. But the only two rules are of the setup is that the king must be between the rooks so that castling still can occur, and the bishops are on opposite colors. So with those two criteria satisfied, you have 960 possible opening positions.
Oh my God.
And the reason I like this, yeah, Nancy and Stacy and Greg, you all heard me do the speech before, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fun to hear it again.
The reason I love it because it throws all those opening tricks and traps that I absolutely hate, right? The whole opening repertoire throws it out the window, right? It's useless. You cannot analyze 960 possible starting positions, right? Because it's like standard chess just has one possible starting position, and chess is so complex that we even just touch the tip of the iceberg of complexity of opening theory, and that's just one standard. That's just one opening position, right? Now
But
add
who
like
set up But who set up the back row? Is it arbitrary, but either
Yeah,
side?
yeah,
or is that
it's
what you're
automatic. Yeah,
saying?
yeah. When you play 960, like for example, you can see 960. So this is start position 573, right?
Oh.
So the computer, when you start a 960 game on Lichess, it automatically generates a random position.
And this is on Lee Chess?
Yeah, yeah, through Lichess. Yeah, yeah, you can do it through Lichess. So just to show you guys, if you want to do a 960 game, you go create a game, and here under variant, make sure you click 960, right? And then you can do a correspondence, but try real time, maybe like I don't know, 5 minute game or 10-minute game, and make sure it's rated. Always make sure it's rated, and then you click this, and then it's going to pair you with somebody. So yeah, I definitely recommend you all work on 960, because I think that's really I liken it to being bilingual. You know many languages in terms of communication and speech. So when you play chess, your mind becomes more flexible, because you're not just relying on one opening position, right? It's multiple, and so your mind has to be malleable, more fluid, right? So yeah. All right.
Hey, I got a quick comment question.
Sure.
Has anybody not seen the email from American Chess Magazine where Johnny Carson interviews Bobby Fischer?
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, it's like it came up. I didn't check out the interview though. Did you listen to it?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I
Is
mean, it's
it?
really, I won't spoil it for you, but the end is really impressive.
All right. It's like is it like a 17-minute video?
Maybe even less, but
Okay.
something like that.
Johnny
Is this
Carson.
something recent?
No, it goes back. It's with Johnny Carson. It's years
I
ago.
mean, that's why I'm saying, I mean,
I think it's like
When Bishop, right after Fischer won.
yeah, right after he won the world championship, yeah, he got a lot of like invitations for talk shows, right? So yeah, because he was the first American since like the 1800s. He won in 1972. He's the first American to win the world championship, upsetting the Soviet domination of chess. So it was like really big news for the United States. So yeah.